Hello, and welcome back to If It Were Up to Us, the podcast where we have zero authority, no filter, and more Disney ideas than anyone asked for. I am your host, Chrissy, and this is my co-host, Stephanie. Hey, Steph, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm grumpy, and we'll talk about why.
Yes, it's just we're coming off of just like a crazy weekend and also crazy weather, and it's just a lot. So I don't blame you. I
Good.
know that my kids were particularly hard to get off to school this morning, and in particular my oldest. So um, this morning he was like, "I'm sick. I have a tummy ache. Like I don't want to go to school." And I was like, "This is coming after a 3-day weekend, so of course he doesn't want to go to school." And with his brother being kind of sick yesterday, it was a whole thing. So I was like, "This is definitely an attention thing. Like I'm not." But he had done the same thing a couple weeks ago, right before swim class, which was the week after he ate too much water and vomited in the pool. So I knew that like I didn't want to not play it up, but at the same point I was like, are you maybe feeling a little bit nervous to go back to school like you did after swim class when you threw up in the pool? You said you had a tummy ache, and I was like, is this the same feeling tummy ache? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's because we're a little bit nervous to go back to school after being gone. And he was like, no, I'm not nervous. I'm just sick. So somehow I was like, what if we do a compromise? Which later on I'm like kicking myself for. But I was like, what if you go to school this morning and mom picks you up, just you, after maybe nap at daycare? And so now I've talked myself into picking up my kid early. Um, so, mhm.
Wow.
Yep. Promising something I can't actually follow up.
Maybe he'll forget, though. He'll be having so much fun, and he'll forget. Yeah, I know.
Lies. You tell lies, lady.
I do. I do.
Hmm. They never
They
forget. They
don't
always remember.
yeah, they forget the things you really need them to remember, and then
Hmm.
they remember the things that you're hoping just never come
Hmm.
back up.
Yeah. And I have made this mistake before. I have told him fun things, and then for some reason or another they don't come through, and then I have to deal with the fallout. So now I have to commit to what pre-coffee Chrissy said, and that's no fun. So, yes. Anyways, so it's snowing where you live.
Yes. It was 80 degrees on Saturday. My kids are sunburnt, actually, like just minorly. Okay,
Hmm.
sunburnt from,
Yeah.
the sun's still really close to the earth right now. And, yeah. And today it's spitting snow and 35 degrees out, which is stupid.
Get it together.
It is. And then if I say this at work, the woman that works there will
Hmm.
go, well, it's still early. I literally don't care. I don't care that it's April 6th and that's still early in your book.
Mm-mm.
I'm it should not be snowing 2 days after it was 80 degrees. That's just
Yeah.
not how that should work.
This is the Earth's version of committing to something it can't. It doesn't
That's
want
right.
to. Yeah, uh-huh. They brought out the sun and they said, look how fun it's gonna be, and then they said nope.
Yeah.
And
And
now
you
we have
like
to deal with the
feel
fallout.
you're like, oh, maybe I'm so happy. And then
Hmm.
today I woke up grumpy and I'm gonna blame the weather and it being cloudy for 2 days and the fact that I have to go to work for just a couple hours on a day that I was supposed to be off. So a third world, this is
I
stupid
Here's your
problems to
permission
have.
slip. I'm signing it. You can be grumpy today. I'll allow it. I mean, unless you think that there's something I'm missing, but I don't think we had very much kind of Disney news come out over the weekend here or since we
No,
last
I
touched
don't
base.
have like Disney parks news. I have Disney news and pertains to my family's vacation this year. Okay, so my husband and I decided like a while ago. I think maybe when we were coming back from Universal, we were like, we're done with theme parks. And then he went back to
Hmm.
Universal for a couple days and I went for one day. But like even after that, I was like, I do not want my vacation to be like surrounded by or like revolve around Disney or Universal or anything. And so we've been toying with what we want to do this year. And he goes, I just know that we'll be like, well, we could just stay at Saratoga for this price too. And then like I said, yeah, and you can also get like a 9-bedroom house in Florida for like $2,200. So it's like, it's so hard to like go away from that. And so I said something last night. I was like, well, we could just go. But no, like we're not doing it. And the thing is I don't know if this happens to you. Probably not, because I feel like you do a lot of different vacations, but we always revert back to things that we've done before. And I really don't want to do that. We used to go to the Outer Banks a lot, and we haven't gone since 2020 because that was like the only thing you could do in the peak of 2020. And I was like, I don't want to go back there. One, it's like really expensive right now, and there's not a ton to do. We are not a family that like sits on the beach all day. It's not us. It's never been my husband and I, because before we had kids, we went to Myrtle Beach every single year. That's where we got engaged. Like that's where we'd always go. And so he found this really nice, I call it the Atlantis of Myrtle Beach, because it has that same like 2 towers with the bridge thing in the middle.
Okay. All right.
We've seen it every time we've gone, and we're like, okay, well, it has a bunch of pools and it's like Caribbean style. And I was like, oh, we could do that. But here's my problem. For the same price of that, we could go on a cruise and have all of our food included. But I cannot convince him to go on a cruise because he's worried about getting seasick, even though like I have this whole video about how like, you know, you really don't have to worry that much. So I can't get him off of that. And that's when last night I was like, well, we could just go to Disney. And then his other big thing is he wants to visit a bunch of different like baseball stadiums. And so I was like, you know what's really close to the Angels Stadium? Like really close.
Super close.
Disneyland.
So close, in fact, they used to own it. I mean.
And, like, their Disney half marathon that they do out there runs through it.
Look.
So.
I mean, that's, not to quote Hannah Montana during her anniversary year, but that's kind of the best of both worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. They've never been. So.
I was gonna say, and you guys don't do Disneyland that often, if like ever. So, listen, I think this is a very good compromise. We just talked about compromising. This is a good compromise. Okay, it's a little bit out of your comfort zone, but not entirely out of your comfort zone. You know. Look, I know that I don't get a vote in your family vacation, but I'm for it.
Really just want to do something different, and I would love for him to like, I'm literally after this, I was telling Chrissy I'm having trouble getting into one of our systems. I'm going to quote a cruise for my husband and present it like I would a client, and I'm going to show him all the like what's included, and then I'm going to compare it to this Myrtle Beach vacation and show him, you know, how it makes more sense. And I'm just really hoping in the end it does make more sense. Because if it doesn't, I'll talk myself right out of it and be like, okay, well, let's go to the beach where we'll spend 5 minutes on the beach and go putt-putt every day. And I was like, putt-putt's included on the ship. I'm just saying.
Also, okay, make sure you factor that cost in, okay?
Oh, I am. I'm going to make it.
Nickel and dime it, girl.
You know, you see those people like in movies or maybe even on TikTok lately where they're like presenting the family vacation that they want to go on. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get like a whiteboard and be like, this. He's not even going to care.
No, he's going to already have his mind made up by the time he gets there. But it's fun to try. It's fun to try. Yes, I got the No Disney Vacations talk a couple of years ago, and since then I have only traveled to Disney. The family has not gone, so Yes, we shall see. I mean, we're doing obviously the Disney cruise this year, and with the house, like
Hmm.
that's it. We're not really
Yeah.
vacationing any other places except for maybe a drive up to Oklahoma here before school starts. So, yeah, we'll. I don't know when my family will be back. But I am in the camp of I really want to take the kids to Disneyland,
Hmm.
um, and do that, which I know is in itself like it's kind of like a more difficult venture to get to, but not as intense as
Hmm.
doing Disney World. So I'm
I
hoping that
feel
we can
like
maybe finagle that for a shorter trip and say it's not a full vacation, just a little bit of one.
you gotta get those boys to Cars Land before they're too
I know
much
we just
older.
watched Cars last night, and that's all I was thinking about. Was like,
Yeah.
man, they need to, yeah. But I also
And
want it to
they're so
be,
wowed by it
yeah. I was gonna say, and I also
that
want
they
it to
can
be
ride
where
stuff.
Sam can, yeah, ride it,
Yeah.
and you know, but instead of just look at it, because he would be devastated if he couldn't
Yes.
do the thing with his brother, and so it may be another year or two off. We'll see. Although
Something to
he's
look
pretty
forward
tall,
to.
maybe, yeah. But that would be, and I really, after we buy this house, I really don't know when we'll vacation again.
It's so hard.
I keep telling myself like, well, Russell will be at school, and so we won't be paying out the wazoo for daycare. But then
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, that all just goes right back to the mortgage. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Unfortunately,
it's
because I
that
tried
girl
to.
math, right? Like you're like, okay, this doesn't count because
Yeah, that's right. Because,
yeah, hmm
you were okay with building the house knowing that that was going to be a cost, and it just happened to
hmm
work out that now it's happening after the cost would be gone.
hmm
So technically, that's free money. Like,
right? Yeah, I'm like, look, we're getting a pay raise, and then
yes.
no,
Yeah,
I
because I
am
tried to get you
hoping.
to come on my cruise with me. Because your husband probably
Okay, okay.
hates me.
Yeah, no, we
Bad
are
influence.
full enablers, yeah, of each other and our
So
bad
bad.
decisions. So bad. Um, no, well, that, and I also have to factor in, I have promised my niece since she was like 6 years old that when she turns 10, her and I will take a trip to Disney, just the two of us. And so, yeah, I am, we are inching up to that. They will be 10 in December of this year. And so I
Ooh,
am, I'm looking at probably like even though
shorter.
as a travel agent, I know this is a terrible idea, but going President's Day weekend, which is like, blah, crowds, ugh. But I have to work around a school schedule because it's important to take your kids
Yeah.
or leave your kids in school, apparently. So, um, yeah. But although I have been seeing those TikToks that say I have to take my kid out of school for a family wedding, and then and then it says like the wedding, and it's the wedding scene from Ariel's ride in Magic Kingdom.
That's
Like maybe that could
funny.
work. Yeah.
That's funny. No, I just call it an educational field trip. Like they still get
hmm
marked absent for the days, but because it's over 3 days, they don't have to have a doctor's excuse to like
hmm
come back. Because listen, they learn so much more traveling and seeing the world and navigating an
Yes.
airport and
hmm
uh, putting real life skills into
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Until my
I
kids are
agree.
older and like I don't know, they have more commitments that they are
hmm
like don't want to miss. I'm taking them out of school. Except for this year, we were like, maybe we will try to go. Just because my kids start a few days after Labor Day. Like Labor Day is
hmm
on Monday. I'm sorry, a few days before Labor Day. Labor Day is on a Monday. They always start the Wednesday before. Labor Day is late this year, so we have the very last week of August.
Oh.
And things after like the middle of August drop. Like they're so much cheaper because a lot of kids are already in school.
Yeah, mine will be.
So we're thinking something that very last week, but we'll see.
Well,
If
keep me
not,
posted
September
so
is
I know where
cheap.
to show up when you take your
I
family
know.
vacation, and I can just tag along, third wheel, fifth wheel. But yeah, just let me know. My kids will already be in school, so I can do whatever I want. No, I'm kidding. But anyways, yeah. Let us know. I'm interested to hear from our listeners whether you are in the take them out or leave them in when it comes to your vacations and planning your trips. Do you plan around school time, or do you say, hey, we'll take them out? We haven't, this will be the first year that we really have to kind of factor that in, because obviously Russell starts kindergarten, so otherwise it was just daycare and I'm paying them for them to be there.
Exactly.
So it's like, well, but yeah, so it'll be interesting. I wonder if that'll switch up for me. Yeah.
I want to know what you're doing. Give me some ideas that are not a cruise. just satisfy my husband.
That aren't sea-based, but somewhat affordable. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the second we got our passports, I'm like, the world has opened up to us. But then I'm like, realistically, I'm not going anywhere. So that's fine.
I have to get my kids' passports so we can go to Toronto to go to that baseball stadium, because there's a hotel that's right, like, pretty much in the stadium, and if you can get a room that just opens up to the stadium so you can watch it from your room. And he wants to do that. So I have to get the kids' passports.
I love that idea. I love that.
And then after that, I'm going to feel the same way. I'm like, okay, where are we going next?
Mm-hmm. Right? It's like, we could go to all these places. I might wait till the world itself calms down, maybe a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I feel much more confident on a cruise ship where things can change as needed.
Yes.
But I don't know. Maybe that's bad advice as a travel agent, that for me to feel that way. Like, you go, I'll plan your trips. You go, I'll stay here.
Yeah, no, but I feel
well, speaking of planning trips and figuring out vacations, that's our topic today, right?
Yeah.
We're talking how to plan the perfect Disney vacation for first timers. And I am really excited about this. I think this is probably one of the more frequent questions that I end up getting, which is whether it's somebody who did Disney when they were a child and they know or recognize that it is vastly different today than it was when they did it, or they have never been to Disney. I am getting that question so often, as just like, what do we do? What's the best way to go about this? So let's talk through some of our best tips. And I think we may differ on some of these. I know we're usually kind of in the same school of thought, but this is something that even you and I have really never discussed as a whole topic. We've talked about some of our, tips and things, but I know the way that you did Disney for your first time was different than the way I did Disney for my first time. So, we will get into it. I think the first question is, if you're going to do a Disney trip first time, are you a go to Disneyland or go to Disney World?
Well, I mean, I have to factor in where I live. It's Disney World.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easier for you to get there.
Closer and stuff. It's just more convenient to go to Disney World. And I think when people think of Disney, they think of Disney World. Like, they're thinking of that castle, and I'm sure they've seen somewhere, like, Spaceship Earth, called Big Golf Ball. Like, those are some of the things. Or even a little bit of a mix-up with Universal and Hollywood Studios. So, that's usually what people are thinking when they're thinking Disney.
You mean somebody says, I want to go to Disney World, but I want to see Harry Potter? Yeah. Yes, that is a frequent correction we must make. But yeah, I also think most people think about Disney World when they talk about doing Disney. I mean, it is kind of the mecca of all things. But I will say this, there is a caveat to this, in that I think we are going to just, as we're talking about this one in particular, we're really going to talk about doing Disney World, but there is an advantage, depending on where you live, to doing Disneyland first. It is a lot, once you are there, it's a lot more accessible, and easier to do in small doses. Like we were just talking about, like taking my kids, like it can be a shorter trip, maybe a little bit more affordable to doing a big thing and feeling like you have to do it all. Whereas I feel like you can do Disneyland and feel like you got a good value for what you spent
Yeah.
in a shorter amount of time. So it can be a good way to kind of introduce doing theme parks and doing Disney to your family. I don't think you're necessarily doing 20,000 steps a day there. So,
Well,
as long as you don't do it like Stephanie and I do, you're not doing. I mean, it's possible, but yeah. So there is that caveat. And if you want to hear more about doing a Disneyland trip for first timers, let us know. But we will get into talking about Disney World and doing this as a first timer. So my first question is length of stay. What do you recommend for first timers?
so first timers, I'm telling them at least 6 nights. A week is great, but if you do 6 nights and you're going to do 4 park days, you'll at least have 1 break day and a check-in and check-out day that's free. But I think that's the way to go.
Yeah,
If
I
you're somebody
am.
that wants to try to see all the parks.
Right. Yes. Yes, definitely. And maybe we should preface this for saying like this is somebody who's going to go and maybe not go again for a little while, or
They're going to come to you and say, this is going to be my one and done trip, and it never is.
it never
But
is.
they're going to think it is until they go. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I am also that way. I'm usually about like I say 6 days. And that, kind of basing that off of, yes, you could have a rest day, and, or maybe try to do like a park on your way out or something. But yeah, I'm kind of around that week time frame as well, because you really need those breaks especially for first timers, and especially when you have, younger kids, but even 9, 10, 11-year-olds, they just need that break. So, yeah, I agree with that. Okay, where are we staying? Where do you recommend people stay
value
for
or
their first time
moderate?
trip?
and here's why. Because value in moderate resorts, most of them, not all of them, scream you're at Disney. You have the larger than life theming. Now, if it's an older couple, because you have to kind of take that into play, I want it. Or if they have older children, maybe not as much. But I am. I think first timers are more willing to spend money inside of the parks than they are for their hotel, because they've read the internet. They think that it's just a place to sleep. And for that first trip, it is just a place to sleep and swim in the pool, because you're focused more on the rides and the attractions and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think, yes, definitely. At that point, you're more interested in doing all the things that you've seen on every television commercial that you've ever seen about going to Walt Disney World than you are about what the hotels can offer you. I am also in that same camp. I think definitely staying on property, and then like at a Disney resort is the way to go. And I am also recommending a value or moderate resort. So for those. Now, I will say I am a proponent of doing either a Skyliner or a moderate that has bus only service. I don't love to put first timers in like an all-star resort.
Yep.
So having that extra method of transportation for the Skyliner, also knowing like you don't necessarily have to break down your stroller to get on the Skyliner. Like the bus only one, yes, you have to break down your stroller, but you tend to find that like it's just a little bit easier, and you're not having to navigate multiple methods of transportation to get to a park. You just know you go out to your bus stop and you go. But those all-star ones are just a little bit too, for me, out of the way. And I just think that there are better value resorts to put you in because of that over-the-top theming. Like, yes, all-star, like movies is good. I don't hate movies, but the other ones, it's like you're just looking at a bunch of sports equipment, and that's just, yeah. Okay, so we are going for a week. We are staying on site. Let's say we're going to stay at, I know you, I know what your answer is going to be. Which value resort are we going to pick for like our sample itinerary for this trip?
I personally would pick Pop Century because person going for the first time, unless they have a large family, are not going to do a family suite at Art of Animation, and the Little Mermaid rooms are really far away. So I don't think it's worth it. And you have more room type options at Pop Century. So if you do want to pay to be closer to Skyliner, you can do that. And I think it's the way to go. And I also have a hate relationship with Art of Animation.
No, you too. I would usually I usually do recommend Art of Animation over Pop Century. I have never stayed at either one of them, but I just think the theming there is like exactly what you think of when you think of like your first time Disney trip versus like something like Pop Century, because there's just IP screaming at you the whole time at Art of Animation. But for the sake of today, I will say we'll go Pop Century, because I do think you get all of the benefits of doing something like Art of Animation. It's also just a little, I won't say less popular, but maybe not as, I don't know. You can tell me. I feel like sometimes it's not as busy as Art of Animation is. No.
Actually, say sometimes. See, Art of Animation is popular because of the family suites and the larger than life theming, and it has, I think, the biggest pool at Disney or something to do with that. So the pool is always busy. But my thing with Pop is that the standard room at Art of Animation is a Little Mermaid room, and I'm not sticking a family with boys in that room. I'm sticking them in the room at Pop Century with the Mickey heads and the Pluto sleeping in the room and all of that over. And I think those rooms are hideous.
The Little Mermaid rooms? What are you talking about? You mean you don't want a tufted like headboard and
I just can't. But no, and I love Pop Century with the big Mr. Potato Heads that you can take a picture with, and I would say like the pool area and stuff is always less busy because they, just is.
Yeah. Okay. I'm for it. I will say for our purposes of today, we're recommending what? What are you thinking?
I would even do French Quarter. And I love Caribbean Beach, but the problem with Caribbean Beach is that internal bus loop. So unless you have a good travel agent that knows what buildings to request you and hope that Disney will honor the request, that resort could be tough for new people to have to navigate. Okay, how exactly am I getting to the parks? When do I need to catch a bus? Now they have to worry about, being the last people on the bus on a busy rope drop morning and the bus being full and just other kind of things that you don't really want to have to explain. But
manage or navigate like the first time. I agree. I think any resort that has an internal bus loop, so even Port Orleans Riverside, Coronado Springs, those are tricky because you can get on a bus thinking you're going directly to a park and then you end up having to go all the way around before you leave, and also you have to figure out exactly which one to get off at too, which can be tricky. So I am avoiding those for first timers for sure, even though I love the updated rooms at Riverside and I really do love the grounds there. I would also go French Quarter over Riverside. So, plus I just love them. But I will say, that being said, French Quarter is my go-to for an adults-only trip if you're not staying deluxe. So, okay, well, let's say for today's sake, we're going to go Pop Century. And, so that then can help kind of dictate where we and how we figure out the rest of the trip. So, what is your recommendation for park tickets?
At least 4 days. And it could be 5 if they have younger kids that are going to have more rides available to them at the Magic Kingdom than some of the other parks. Like, if they're really short and Hollywood Studios is not going to be a full day for them because they're missing some of those e-ticket attractions, then it's nice to have 5-day space tickets. But my other thing would be just splurge for the 4-day park hopper. Because I know this is my unpopular opinion. I always see this is don't do park hopper if you're a first timer. But I beg to differ, because here's my problem with 4-day base. That's the only park you can go to that day. So if you get into the Magic Kingdom and it is extra busy because of whatever reason, we have high school bands there that are going to be on the parade that day, or for whatever reason, it's just a busier day, you can pivot and go to a different park.
Yeah.
And Magic Kingdom is open the latest out of every park, especially depending on when, because we probably should talk about when we would send a first timer. What month are we sending them?
That's true.
But
yeah,
it's always open later. So those Hollywood Studios days and the Animal Kingdom day that are not going to give you a full day, I mean, obviously go see Fantasmic ones, but go back to the Magic Kingdom, catch the fireworks one night, and the next time do rides and stuff during the fireworks, because I know not all families are crazy like mine, but like I'm not sticking to my kids' bedtime while I'm at Disney. That's just nuts. That's just not happening. So we're staying up late. We're doing the thing. And yeah, I think the flexibility of having a park hopper is worth it, but I also can respect people that get overwhelmed by that. And especially because my problem with, not to call out other travel agents, so I'll just say people that give tips about Disney, in the same breath they're saying park hopper is not worth it, are also saying to take a break during the day. Because their reason for why park hopper isn't worth it is because of the long time it takes to hop between parks. And if you do it right, it doesn't take that long. Gives you a break off your feet, and you're already telling them to take a break, to go back to the resort. So why, if they go back to the resort, do they have to go back to the same park when they're done? They don't.
Yeah, I think this is the thing that I am a little bit flexible about. I am the same. I'm in the same school of thought of go ahead and splurge, stay at the Value Resort and splurge for the park hopper ticket. In addition to like all of the reasons that you just said, also if dining and like doing some of these dining experiences on your must do list, it gives you more flexibility around scheduling those extra hard to get experiences, especially things like Cinderella's Royal Table that like every person wants to do on their first time going to Disney, because
Boutique.
They can be so hard to get, and this gives them the flexibility to schedule around that and ensure that the things on their must-do list can happen. Versus like saying, okay, well, we can get at some point with a 1 park per day ticket, you're going to end up in that situation where you want to do Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and you want to do Cinderella's Royal Table. And ideally, in a wonderful, magical world, you get those on the same day, and your princess or prince goes to Cinderella's Royal Table all fixed up, dressed up, and everything. But in practicality, what we see more often is that those two things happen on different days. And so now you're having to choose between which experience your kid will get the most out of, whether it's the dining in the castle or the makeover experience. And so I think that's where I also say get the park hopper, because you can try to make those things happen and they still get to do them both. Maybe it's not that ideal world where they're all fixed up and going and having, dinner in the castle, but at least you kind of have that. And I also think, just like you said, like if you're going to take the break in the middle of the day, it just makes a lot of sense to hop back and forth. And especially if you're going during a busier season, like the Halloween parties, right? Where the park is going to close early to guests who don't have special ticketed events. So if that's when you're stuck to your travel dates, then you do want to have that park hopper so that you can go experience another park when the other one closes. So
and still take advantage of shorter waits at Magic Kingdom.
Exactly.
Because the people with base tickets are not going to visit the Magic Kingdom on a day of a party.
Yep.
And now you can. Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think something people forget about, like, if you're doing Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, try to get it in the morning And then give yourself the ability, okay, we could go to Cinderella's Royal Table, or we could save some money. Go to Epcot, you could go to Akershus. And then there's so many princesses meeting and greeting around the World Showcase. So you can meet a bunch of them all dolled up in better setting than the fairy tale hall. Like, so I just feel like, I don't know.
Yep, you go, get your makeover, get your pictures in front of the castle, and then go experience princesses and that royal thing over at Epcot, because the princesses are meeting throughout all of World Showcase, and you're going to find princesses there that you're not finding in the castle. Anna and Elsa in particular. So, yeah. Or go over to 1900 Park Fair if you, like that's also a good one too. So, also a great place to take pictures when you're all dolled up. So, fun fact, best tip, I don't know. Also, can we just caveat and say, I really wish that adults could at least get like a little bit of a makeover at Disney. Just saying. Why cap it at 12? I mean, I know why you do it, but still. But that being said, if you...
I feel like
no, they are pretty... Yeah, I was going to say, they're pretty hard fast to that rule.
For children that are maybe, not mentally 12, you know what I mean? I didn't know if they made any kind of exception.
I do not believe so. I think from what I have heard, they're pretty hard fast to that 12 age limit. But that being said, if you still want to have that experience, I actually have a video on my TikTok. We took my little sister to go get pixie dusted, and so she got all dolled up before we did her capture your moment, and so you can at least a 4-day, let's say a 4-day with Park Hopper, right? What days are you, let's say, again, we're going for a week. Are there any days that you're recommending people don't schedule a park?
Do not go to Epcot on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Yes.
Don't.
Yes. Yep, that was going to be mine. Epcot is the locals park in Disney World. So everybody shows up to Epcot on the weekends, especially during a festival. It is a busy, busy place. Again, this is where that Park Hopper kind of comes into play, because you can have that flexibility or bounce around, or you head over to Epcot, right when it opens, and then especially during a festival, World Showcase starts to get busy, you hop to another park. I am also recommending, if you can avoid it, it will disillusion you significantly to Epcot as a first timer if you try to go on the weekends. So I'm also trying to stay away from doing Magic Kingdom first on that Monday or Sunday. If I can help it, because everybody wants to start their vacation in the castle park, and I don't blame you. I also want to do it, so but it does make it a little bit more crowded.
Do you know what park I like to visit the most on a Sunday?
No.
Hollywood Studios.
Really?
I've found that Hollywood Studios is less busy on a Sunday than sometimes even during the week, because like you said, people are they're going to Magic Kingdom, they're following that up by Epcot. For whatever reason, I feel like everybody just kind of naturally follows in how the parks were opened. It goes Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I love to do Hollywood Studios. If I need to visit a park on a Sunday, I'm going to Hollywood Studios on a Sunday.
Also, it's kind of a half-day park, right? Like, we've talked about this before. It is something you could honestly even do on arrival day. That you could, get checked in, drop your luggage, and go over to that park. And you can still, especially if you've got little ones, you can still do a lot of things there in the afternoon at Hollywood Studios and watch Fantasmic.
For the evening.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good tip. So, yeah, especially if you do not have a park hopper, this is a great plan because you still get kind of your full day or your half day there. And
now, if my people are staying for 6 nights to 7 nights and they only have a 4-day park hopper ticket, I'm not telling them to do anything on their check-in day because they need to have full day. In my opinion, have the ability to go to a park for a full day. Whether they go to Hollywood Studios in the morning to do the shows and the characters, because the problem with Disney is the characters don't stay out late. They're done by 5 or 6, like 5, between those hours, doing the characters, doing some of the shows, because the shows also stop a little bit earlier. And then taking a break, swimming in the pool, because your kids, gosh, guys, if I could just get this through people's head, I don't care if you have a pool in your backyard. Your kids want to swim in the pool at Disney, and you need to let them. I literally don't care. Let your kids swim in the darn pool.
Yeah, also, if you think it's too cold for your kids to swim in the pool, it's not. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Kids will be in that pool, especially if you're from up north. Those kids will be in that pool and having the time of their life. Yeah.
So, and then take your break, come back in the evening, do some of your rides, watch Fantasmic. But yeah. Now, when they were doing the, promo where you stayed for 4 and you got 2 extra days, absolutely do stuff on your check-in and check-out day, because you didn't pay for those days.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. Yeah, take advantage as much as you can of that kind of situation where, yeah. And I know you're a big water park fan, so if you're doing, or if you have that promo of doing, the free water park on your check-in day, make sure you take advantage of that. Just because we're saying, hey, this is a really good idea, definitely plan for what you've got, right? Like you said, if you've got that specific ticket offer, or you're going where they're offering you free things, do those things. Don't pass them up just because you think you got to do all the parks or whatever.
And I tell people, even if you're checking in 1, 2 o'clock, drop your bags and go, because most people leave a water park at 2. They're done with the sun. They're done.
Yeah.
They're gone. So, and I've never been when either of the water parks have been insanely busy. So that was never an issue. So if you get there early, you can get done with the water park pretty quickly too. So it's worth it. Make sure you take advantage of it if you can help it. I mean, obviously, I think it's, probably silly to fly in early, stay randomly in a hotel for 1 night just to get that for free. But I mean, if you really want to go, do it. But
yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, to get that full day, I think. And I'm of the mindset, I've never been, so maybe these are incredibly wonderful, amazing, and I'll only want to spend my time in the water parks. I doubt it, but that being said, I just don't think a water park is that important for you to stay. Yeah.
I
yes. Also,
spend, a whole day at a water. I am over being wet.
Yeah. Case in point, why you don't spend a whole day at the beach.
Well, in sand, I don't like sand. Ugh.
The sand.
I can sit by a pool all day because you can dry and but if you're at a water park, you're well, I can't just sit here and be a bum. I had somebody ask me about cabanas at Volcano Bay. This is not Disney, and I'm they're do you think it's worth it? I'm maybe if you're a family that sits down. My family doesn't sit down. Right. I don't know what it's like.
It's yes, that could be a good idea. And yeah.
I don't know. I'm not the one to ask.
Me, I'd be yeah, do a cabana for sure. Have a hub, keep your space. Yeah. If that's something that you can consider, or consider a splurge.
And eat your lunch and take, your time.
Yeah. Or if you're traveling with a large group where you have some people who are, super into the rides and some people who are not and just want to be part of the family, definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to avoid doing Epcot on the weekends with our tickets. We're adding the Park Hopper, and we're going to stay away from doing Magic Kingdom. We're looking at doing like a Hollywood Studios maybe on check-in day. I think that's a really good, solid plan for first timers. Excuse me. Okay. What to do? Let's talk your must-do attractions. This is where I think I get the most joy out of planning with first timers, because they do, no matter what, like even if they're like, I just have no idea where to start or what to do, everybody has something in mind for their vacation. They know what they know their family, and this is where it gets super like individualized in planning. But there are certain things that I say, yes, absolutely make that a priority on your first time trip. And there are some things that I say, especially if you're traveling with little ones, don't stress about it. So what are you saying, yes, absolutely do on your list or your recommendations for first timers?
I really don't know, because I usually just have them tell me their top 3 or 4 things, and then I make a thing around that to make it make sense. I can tell you what I tell people about like lines. Like if they're not going to be interested in lightning lanes, I'll tell them ride this instead of that. Like if you don't want to wait in the line, it's always ride the Little Mermaid instead of Peter Pan's Flight. If you don't want to wait in the line, you're not doing lightning lane, you're not trying to do a heavy rope drop. Big Thunder Mountain over Seven Dwarfs Mine Train if you're trying to avoid the lines. Yeah, but like I think if I could get everyone to be like on board with riding the Little Mermaid and Winnie the Pooh instead of just going, oh no, but they would rather ride Peter Pan's Flight and like some of these other things. And I also, I feel like my families are anti Haunted Mansion. And yes, I have families that have gone 3 or 4 times now and still have not ridden that because they think it's scary. And their kids are old enough that it's not, but they can't get them on it. I also have family that have not seen the fireworks yet because they're worried about being able to get back to the resort
afterwards.
And I have explained that too. But I don't think I have like a go-to list, like do this, do that. Because I think the hardest thing that I had to realize becoming a travel agent was not everyone Disney is like iDisney. And that was hard because I'm like, what do you mean you don't try to get as much as possibly physically done? You don't like... in a day, like, what do you mean you're gonna sit down and eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at a table service? Like, no. No.
Isn't it funny? Because I am the same way. Like, people are like, what do you do? And I'm like, you don't want to do Disney like I do Disney. No. Like, let's just be very clear. Like, I do Disney
especially
hard.
Now.
I go hard. Yes. Like, especially now. Like, you don't want to do Disney like I do Disney. So yes, this is the part where it becomes very customized when working with a travel planner, and we will take into consideration everything. Like even though Stephanie's like, what do you mean you want to eat dinner every... Yeah, but we'll do it for you because if that's what you want, that's what you're going to get.
And I'm not going to say that to them. I'm not going to be like, oh my goodness. No, because that's, that's what they want
exactly.
to do.
If that's what you want. I will say, this is where I would say something, and I would say, don't worry about doing a sit-down meal for every meal. I know that, and if that works, like if that's a must-do because you need to, like that's the only way you get your children to eat, cool, let's plan that. But you end up eating so much at Disney, whether it's snacking in between meals or having, a full meal, like you're just not, you end up probably only wanting 2 meals a day when you go to Disney, even with kids, like I find you get them, feed them a full breakfast, cool, they're full, they start to get hungry, but they're also super busy and distracted, and it's almost harder to pull them away from the fun and the things that are going on and make them sit down for like a lunchtime meal or heck, even a dinner time meal, like that's the thing that I definitely learned when we took my oldest for his first birthday. Like we did not need to sit down, even though like that was part of his routine up until that point was we sit down in the high chair for all the meals, right? And that's just, and that was something like we just threw him snacks in the stroller like a feeding the birds, you know what I mean? Like it was just like, oh, you're hungry, okay, or that was the best way to distract them in a line was like, here, have a snack, you know. So then they're not hungry. So I will say like that's my like you're not going to be hungry, you're still going to be full. You'll feel
It's
bad
so
because now you're
expensive.
having this expensive experience. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like so that's one thing that I always say like yes, there are tons of amazing restaurants to eat at Disney. You don't need to have a sit down reservation for every meal. I'll even say for every day. Like you just don't
No.
do that to yourself. Don't put that
Honestly,
pressure on yourself.
when clients are like, okay, we want to do like a sit down, like one time, and it's usually they want to do a character meal. I always recommend breakfast over lunch and dinner. One, it's cheaper. Two, your kids are in better mood. They're not tired from being out in the hot sun and walking around and
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
So I always recommend a breakfast character meal.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing it on a park day, because you can try to schedule it as early as possible. It's not cutting into your day. Because I think most first timers are worried about getting their money's worth. At least mine are. They're like, how can I get my money's worth? You have to let them know kindly that there's no way they'll ever possibly do everything in Disney World in this trip. But, like, you can't, you just do breakfast. And then if you want a dinner on your break day, I'm telling them to go to Disney Springs normally. And even if it's quick service at Disney Springs.
Yep. That is a very, very good tip. I will say especially when and I find that's what I usually end up doing with first timers is that it's usually okay, now that we're taking the youngest of the family, now grandmas and aunts and, like everybody wants to come. And so at some point I find that they're like, we want to have a fancy meal or we want to do, something special because it's the whole family together. And so that's when I say, that's when I usually say, plan that for your rest day because your kiddo is not going to want, and to be honest, adults too, the last thing you want to do after walking around the park is to have to go back, get all fixed up, and go out to dinner. Like, you're just not going to be in the best mood. So do that on your rest day when everybody has a chance to, like, be revived and feel a little bit better. So, that's the days that I say do your Steakhouse 71 or your, whatever you're doing. Because it's a lot easier to get all dolled up or to have to corral a kid when they're not overstimulated from a theme park. So, but I also agree, Disney Springs is one of my favorite places to go and just like walk around and chill and have like an unplanned day where it's something that's not so scheduled and you just kind of, you can also snack your way through Disney Springs too. So, yeah. Wind up with a whole bag of cookies or a giant piece of pizza if you're like me. So, okay. Experiences. Is there anything that you're saying you want to make this feel like an extra magical trip? Make sure that you do this.
Well, it's not an experience. I'm having them at the Memory Maker. 100%. Not particularly. I mean, obviously, if they have a little girl and they want to do Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, I'll mention that. But I feel like, again, most of my first timers are just worried about getting all the things done inside the parks. So I don't think there's any kind of, like, I'm not going to tell them to splurge on the dessert party because for a few reasons. One, you're stuck in that spot if you do the standing one, and it's hard to get out. And sometimes just walking up last minute is better. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. I feel like that's a second trip, or if you're going for like a honeymoon or something. But like a family of 4, I'm probably not having them do the dessert party.
Yeah, that's definitely not. I mean, it is something that's on my like list that I send clients is like, here's a list of basically all the things you can do. But yeah, that's not something I'm recommending for first timers. Mine is more broad of like, and especially when it comes to traveling with younger kids, like let them stay up, take them back, have a nap. It's see the fireworks, right? It's those things that like,
Yes.
I know it can be a lot to like a lot to do. And I've had a couple of people say to me like, I just don't think we're going to be up early or out late. And it's like, and I think that even becomes more so like a tip of like, let go of feeling like you have to follow that routine. Are you going to have meltdowns? Yes. I can distinctly remember being a grown adult and stomping my foot at my husband in the middle of a theme park having a meltdown because we had gone probably a little too hard than we should have. But like, it's going to happen. So don't be so rigid in thinking like, well, we have to stick to this routine or, yeah, just do the fireworks. Yes, it's late. Do the fireworks. So, yeah, that's my kind of thing that I say like, okay, experience wise, do something. Do some type of late night, whether it's the ones at Epcot, the ones at the castle, or Fantasmic over at Hollywood Studios. Just do the fireworks. Experience that. The other thing that I'm also telling my first timers is do not worry about rope drop. You get to the park when you get to the park. Get to the park early, but you do not need to stand in those crowds. It's the most overwhelming way to start a day at a Disney park. And I just feel like, yes, you hear it. And can it be awesome? Absolutely. But if your kid is not already awake, do not wake them up. Like, let a sleeping baby lie. Get to the park when you can. It'll be fine. You'll still get done what you want to get done. You do not need to rope drop, at least every day. Should you rope drop like maybe one park? Yes. But do not try to do that every day. That is honestly, just a recipe for disaster.
For a first timer, I honestly don't think there is a single attraction out there that is worth rope dropping and stressing yourself out. And that's a hot take, but you're going to get there, an hour and a half before actual time. You can wait 90 minutes for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train later if you want. Mm-hmm. Or just wait until way later and get to 45 minutes, especially if there's park time after the fireworks. I mean, my husband and daughter wait like 30 to 45 minutes for it, sometimes less after fireworks. So like, honestly, it didn't really save you any time.
No,
it didn't really save you a headache.
That's the thing that I always say. Like, the only place that it even remotely makes sense to do this is if you are staying at a monorail resort and you are rope dropping the Magic Kingdom and your kids are already up early. Otherwise, you are waking them up early, trying to shove them out the door to get, to Magic Kingdom to be the first in that line. And the only thing that you have done is trade an hour and a half of like transportation and standing, waiting for things to open in the middle of the crowd for standing in that line. So I just don't think it's that worth it.
Yeah, if the family says that they want to do rope drop, I'll absolutely help them out. And based on like what their must-dos are, I'll give them a plan of a good rope drop. Mm-hmm. But I just, how I feel about rope drop.
Yeah. And this is the advantage of the park hopper, right? Like you can feel like, okay, I didn't get up and, now I can bounce back when crowds are less in the evenings. So yeah, I think that's totally worth it. Okay. So I think we're at this point where are there any other big tips that you always include or any kind of pieces of advice you would give a first timer at Disney that we haven't already talked about?
No, I think I've already said that you almost have to kind of lower their expectations a little bit.
That was exactly what I was going to say.
Because, especially when you have little kids and you think, okay, we're going to do this, you have this big plan in your head about everything you're going to do, and then it just is likely not going to go that way. Because you can never control how kids are handling things. And you may not realize this even as an adult of how overstimulating this whole experience is. And it's a lot. You just gotta like, that's why I tell people, and it's overkill, but I say, tell me your top 3 or 4 must do, like that your family wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
And be so happy. And these should be things that, like, if you got home, you'd be really sad that you didn't do. You're like, oh man, that like ruined my trip because I didn't do it. Those are the things you need to try to get done first. And you're going to be so excited that those things happen. And then everything else is bonus. Because how many times I've been to Disney, I don't know, like 15, 16 times now. I still have not done everything. Like the majority of the rides, but I'm like, there's still crap I haven't done.
Yeah. No, I'm completely in agreement on that one. Like I mean, we talk about it all the time that there are things that like we have never done. I mean, Pandora, right? And Avatar being, the thing I had never done yet. And we go a lot. So there are things that like you need to prioritize. Setting low expectations, I think, let's be honest, that's just how I live my life in general, right? Then everything else is a pleasant surprise. But it is more true than ever at Disney. Make sure that, and also just like give yourself grace. Like remember, especially for all the moms out there, because let's be honest, we know that you're the ones that are stressing over this trip, and not that dads and partners are not doing that, but whoever is trying to plan the trip and taking lead on planning, like there is so much to do. You're never going to get it all done. Give yourself the grace, and also just like be flexible. Like lower the expectation that you're not going to do everything, and that's okay. But giving yourself grace and remembering to be flexible. If you're, like I said, you throw the routine out the window, but like trust your gut. If you know that your kids need to go back and take a nap, go back and take a nap. Just don't stress about like, okay, well, we have all these things on the list, because at the end of the day, they're not going to remember what you didn't get done. They're going to remember what you did. And so even though in your mind you're like, oh my gosh, it would be amazing if we got to do this, the kids don't know that. I mean, they just remember the fun that they had. And
yeah. My other thing I tell people, and this is funny, but take everything, every tip, advice, every influencer telling you this is how you should do Disney with a grain of salt, because that's how they do Disney. That's how they, like, even us, like, I think all of our tips are very good. They're great. And for the majority of people, they're right. But, like, there are influencers and stuff out there that will tell you to do things this way and that way, and it just doesn't make sense. They're 2 20-something-year-olds telling you that don't have kids, telling you with kids that you need to do this, 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 and it just isn't going to work for you. So, like, take all the tips, because I think the best thing you can do for your Disney trip is to do some research. Don't watch all the ride POVs, though. Don't do that. But take all the tips and tricks, and then figure out which ones will actually work better for you.
Yeah.
Instead of one person and just their tips. Because I have my little group, and I try to get people, like, I can give you a tip and advice, but that's coming from somebody that's been that many times, and I don't do Disney how I did back in the day. So,
yeah, you really do have to, at the end of the day, this is your trip, it's your vacation, and only you know the best way, you and your travel agent, let's be honest, because we're going to get to know you as well.
Yes.
We're not there we're not going to be able to tell you, hey, make this choice right now. You have to make that choice for yourself. Yes, you may have heard that this is the ultimate way to do Disney, but the fact of the matter is there is no wrong way to do Disney, right? Or no right way to do Disney. The only wrong way to do it is to not give yourself, like I said, that grace, that flexibility, and that's like the wrong way to do Disney.
Or just not go at all because you think you wouldn't like it.
Also true. That is definitely number one. The most wrong way to do Disney is to not do it because it's overwhelming, or you think that it won't be everything that you think it should be. So yeah. Okay, I think that wraps up the ultimate trip for a Disney first timer, and I love this.
Yes, me too.
So
it's good.
So we have what is coming up next?
I think, aren't we deep diving into Figment?
Yes, so we that's our live.
But that's gonna come out before this, so never mind, cut that out.
I was like, I think, yes.
That's right, that comes out before this. So what's after? Darn it.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so after this one comes out, okay, so our next episode is another Versus episode. Ooh. Which I am pumped about. And we did just kind of talk about this a little bit, and it's the great rope drop debate. Should you or shouldn't you? So, yes. This one could be fun, because I think we're both kind of in agreement on the best way to do it, but if you're somebody who needs to hear that you should absolutely do it or you should absolutely not do it, this is the episode to listen to. We are going to tell you all the benefits, all the cons, and argue amongst ourselves to solve the question, should you or should you not rope drop?
And maybe we'll change our own minds.
Maybe we will.
Yeah. So if it were up to us,
well, you'll just have to listen.